project. So he leads the Quad Rotor project in Robotics Club, and he spends his free time on like off hands-on projects and hangs out with quote unquote Doug boys.
That was very particular. All right, thanks everyone for Thanks everyone for coming. I really appreciate your time and the fact that you guys are taking the effort to come here. Respecting that, I'm going to return the favor by being just very honest and sincere with both my successes and my failures. This talk is pretty much done via stories because I find those are the most interesting and people absorb those the best. And there's underlying themes that you might be able to get. I try my best to get the sweet spots of what I consider worthwhile talking about my last 4 years here. And I hope you guys walk away with something from it. So starting off, a quick introduction to myself. I love my three sisters. They're crazy amazing. I was crazy lucky to be born with them, and they've shaped me a lot, so they're a big part of my life. And that's Du Bois. Funny story about Du Bois in that photo. This is embarrassing. A section of my life I call the Blue Ages, and the reason I call it the Blue Ages is because every photo that I took during that time period was with a blue tilt, or blue shade, whatever you call it. And I never noticed it, and Sam over there in the blue shirt would always yell at me, Peter, there's something off about your photos, and I'd always fight with him about it. And eventually one night in a bar, he grabbed my phone, opened up the camera, and he said, it's on blue shade. And so that entire section of my life is just colored blue. You can see it in the photo. Drones are a big part of my life. Again, hobbyism. I'm trying to get more and more involved and know more and more. I've had an amazing opportunity this year to work with some mostly freshmen who are just insane. Like, they came in knowing so much, and I've learned a lot from them. I think probably more than they've learned from me. And this is a Quad Rotor pretty much worked on over the summer in California. And these are two key members of exactly that club. Oh, gone the wrong way. So I almost got tackled by, this is Carp. He's the CEO of Palantir. I worked there over the summer. I almost got tackled by his bodyguard because I ran up to him to get a selfie with him. Almost everyone at Palantir now knows that story. It's a little embarrassing. I'm the intern who almost got tackled. And this is me at DEF CON. I sort of to emphasize that I love jumping into environments where I know nothing. I don't know anything about computer security. My computer's been hacked 3 times. I just had to wipe it again 2 days ago. But I jumped into that sort of scene and learned a lot just by being in an environment where I know nothing. And I learned a lot just by being surrounded by geniuses, by people who know so much about the field. Going the wrong way again. And Ford. So if you're one of my friends, chances are you've gotten really annoyed already with me saying stuff like, go forward, can't spell affordable without Ford, or pointing out every F-150 that I see in the road. So I'm really enthusiastic about my opportunity at Ford as the beginning of my career. It's a rotational program where I don't stand still. Every 3 to 6 months I change what I'm doing, which is very much so my zen. And I get to cover different parts of the company. So I love blue, a big blue company. So projects. Why I'm going over this, the main thing to extract out of this is leadership. I'm practically like 12 years old, right? I'm like young 20s. I barely know anything about the world virtually. But I've learned from where I started off freshman year, I've learned a lot and I've moved a lot on the concept of leadership. And the main reason why I've learned so much is because I failed so much at leadership. So most of these things I'm going over are about the projects I led sophomore year and what I learned from them. The first thing I led was Solar Splash. Solar Splash was pretty much this guy, Nathaniel Krasnoff, was left leading this thing. And this was my sophomore year. And he needed someone to lead electrical. He knew me, so he tried to convince me to lead, and I was kind of started swayed into the idea. I liked the idea of it. I knew nothing about power electronics. I continue to know nothing about power electronics. So trying to lead this thing, I also tried to do it in my spare time. So the idea of this is basically to build a solar paneled race boat and then compete in this national competition. I led a team of pretty smart guys, really great people, but it ended up failing because you look up and you look at the leader for direction. I couldn't figure out what direction to give it or even the detail of where to go, where to find things out even, because I was sort of just in the middle of an ocean, no pun intended. So that failed because we didn't have a direction and because I tried to lead in my spare time. You have to be 100% involved with whatever you're doing if you're going to lead it. You have to be passionate about it and focused on it, paying attention. Again, going backwards. Quad Rotor. I co-led with Nick Malice, the guy sitting down. The idea of this project that year was that we're building PCB quad rotors. PCB is printed circuit board. So basically the Quad Rotor frame itself was the circuit of the Quad Rotor. Very cool concept. We dragged the concept from MIT, where they designed one of these guys, and we modified the circuit to be able to add modular sensor arrays so that we could use these in a swarm, which is many drones working in sync, and incorporate these different sensor packages onto each one, so each one fulfill a different function. Very cool concept. The problem with this is that we didn't have a schedule, we didn't have an end goal, we sort of were just kind of kept going. People became less dedicated also because this particular project, it's very difficult to get milestones where you see success. It's kind of like in the end you get it all at once or not at all. And we got it not at all. And Project Metis. So my part on Project Metis, besides trying to orchestrate it and lead and get the general direction for it, was the testbed. Who here knows Cosby? Cosby loves his autograder, right? So he was leading this thing, so he wanted us to make a physical autograder. In a sense, he wanted to be able to know and grade the location of this robot via this thing. So my work was this. This was me and Connor building the physical platform of it. Stayed here my spring break that year to work on the circuit. That was my room. My roommate was very merciful with me as far as how much I took up. That was the end of the circuit, and that's the pretty end result. My sister did a good job of painting it. But that was just one part, the autograder. The other three parts were the software of it. We wrote a language, kind of like Lego Mindstorm, where you drag and drop with logic to make it do something, right? Something physical, say move forward, turn left. When received a sensor of this, but working at a high level with drag and drop blocks. That's the robot that we made, and that's sort of the middleman between the software and the robot. It works with Bluetooth and a very simple microprocessor to give the commands to the robot. Running another project on it actually that allowed us to do that. Now the problem with Project Meta, moving forward. The end result of this, we wanted to move into a classroom. We wanted it to be a platform that we could dish out in local schools and have them learn programming physically. The problem with programming nowadays is that you go through so much crap, you go through so much work, downloading the thing, working out of your Zen, out of your environment, and the end result is you get a program that says hello world in a terminal. It's so boring. And so what we wanted to do was make it easier to start off with a drag and drop language and get a kick-ass result with something physically happening right in front of you to show that it does something, it makes something happen. We, instead of going to local schools, we were able to get this ported to a local middle school program where middle school girls come to Carnegie Mellon to try these different technical opportunities. It was an amazing result with them. We got them to think programmatically. A lot of the time, none of them had any experience. And they left with being able to write a short script on making a robot maneuver a maze, which was very exciting. I lied to them. I told them that the robot's going to do X, Y, Z. I hard-coded it to do forward, left, right. And I laughed with them about how I did that, so I didn't really lie. So we got an end result. But the problem is it was not nearly as exciting as it could have been, and there was a lot of tension, like negative tension. I think I probably lost a friend or two in that project. The reason why that happened was because I tried forcing a direction. When it came time for big decisions, like whether or not to go to a classroom, whether or not to, we had teachers lined up, teachers excited to use the package. I said, we've really got to force ourselves, really push ourselves, and invest the time to make it get there. That's what we've worked so hard for. It's worthwhile. I was the only person on the team who thought so. Everyone else on the team was afraid that we'd let down the teachers by not making the deadline, and no one wanted to do it. This is a big deal. I tried to force a direction, and the overall attitude of the team was that they didn't want to do it. They wanted to go in a different direction and do local things like this. Afterwards, with Cosby, Cosby gave me great advice, which has stayed with me, which is sometimes on a team it's more important to be going in the same direction than necessarily what you think in particular is the right direction. This leads me to the two successes that I've had recently. From these failures, I've been able to sort of, they've snapped something into me, and I've gotten enough out of them to lead something successfully. At least, humbly this far. Engineering STUCO, something that, so who here is an engineer? Who here switched majors after the first class? A few. The problem with Carnegie Mellon, which isn't the problem at a lot of other schools, is if you come in, let's say for chemical engineering, it's a cliche, and you think that chemical engineering is chemistry plus engineering. It's not. So once you find that out, you might want to switch. Once you find out that math side is a lot of physics. If you don't like physics, crap. If you don't like ECE, crap. This happens a lot. A lot of people come in not necessarily knowing what they want to do. And the problem is, once you find that out with the first class, you have one guess to get it right. By the way, if you screw up and you want to try to guess again, now you're behind on the curriculum. What most schools do is a survey. They do a broad spectrum of all the engineering so that the freshmen have a glimpse of what each one feels like. so that they can pick out what might be the rest of their career with a little more of an educated guess. We tried to solve this by basically implementing STUCO, where passionate students, upperclassmen, juniors, seniors, who have had some exposure to the field, some exposure to the market, stuff like that. They have more to basically spell out what the intuition of the field is, what it feels like to work in it. And we took those passionate upperclassmen students and had them give lectures to the freshmen who take us. We've gone from around 40 students to around 60 or 70, and we've gotten amazing results from it. Kurt Larson likes it somewhat. The reason why this was successful, in my humble opinion, is because the people who we dragged on were innately passionate about what they wanted to talk about. We did not have to drive them, we did not have to do anything. They jumped in, jumping up and down, excited as hell to talk about what they've been doing. That made this easy as heck. Like, we literally just had to tell them the date that they had to show up, and they did everything. And the students, the flame in their eyes was translated to the students' eyes. Everyone got excited, everyone loved it, it was amazing. I was really glad to be a part of it. What's going on right now, which I'm very, very proud of, is Quadrotor revamped. I like to think of it. So Quadrotor, the big problem with Quadrotor here, after 4 years of being here, we never really got out a drone. We never really finished a project from beginning to end. There's a big stigma to it. We didn't get anything done. We never succeeded. So I decided I really wanted to get a success early on. That was a big problem that I noticed in my past projects. How I went about doing that was we had 1 month to build the first Quadrotor. They did it. My team, amazing people, some of the most brilliant people I've ever worked with here, and hard-ass workers, got it done in the first month. That was crazy ambitious, and we still got it done. So naturally, the next step was I said, now let's make 2 drones in 2 weeks, and we did it. Then we took one of those drones, and we built 20 of them with a class that we taught. And now the students in those are starting to get those lifted off the ground. We've taken people who don't know anything about hobbyism, electricity, CADing, and basically taken all these things and gathered up enough of a footground to be able to fly these things and build them themselves, own them in that sense. These are the drones from the class. Moving forward as well, we are trying to integrate the new members who want to join Quadrotor, now that people are getting excited about it. We're giving them a welcome project, which is they have to build their own drone so that they're caught up themselves and they are able to own this thing, this baby that they made. That's some CAD Noteworks from someone on the team, and that's someone finishing it just recently. So we have about 10 people working on those. On the side, we also are working on a 3D Quadrotor, which we'll be able to have a CAD tutorial basically to teach people how to CAD or design by building a drone, 3D printed drone. This is the figments of our test bed, where Quadrotors are hard to fly after you build them, so that's going to help us calibrate them, and that's a Lego quad that we're working on. So a lot of stuff. After getting nothing out, now we've dished out maybe 30 to 40 drones in 1 year, and we've submitted 2 SURGs for next year. So lessons that I got out of these are the big deals. Small successes along the way make a big difference because people get to see it and it gets them enthusiastic. Schedule with tolerances. We go with the game industry does half schedule, so do we. If you think it should take a month, you aim for 2 weeks. If you think it should take 2 weeks, you aim for a week. I took that a little too far with my team when I made them build 2 drones in 2 weeks because I thought it would take about maybe a month to get it done. So I told them 2 weeks, but then I wanted to sort of get them to go faster. So I said, let's actually aim for a week. And we actually got it done in virtually like a week or 2 weeks. It was insane. The direction as a team. And the biggest deal, which I got out of this, which is the big thing I'd like you guys to take away, is servitude leadership. My dad's been trying to drill this into me, and it never clicked until I actually tried it myself. It's focusing on the team more so than the end result, than the product. When you're invested in the team, in the people, and you're invested in trying to get them to succeed, more so than getting the product to succeed, you get like crazy, dramatically different results. People notice. If you're invested in the people, they notice and they react to it. And they pick up that you appreciate them, that you're trying to help them unlock their potential, and they do it. And they go crazy far. My next part is people. The big deal with this is, I'm trying to emphasize, pay attention. You're surrounded by a lot of people, a lot of really amazing people here. Even when you leave here, whatever market you get into, they're going to be surrounded by a lot of very interesting and brilliant people. Pay attention to them, because you can get a lot out of them. You can learn a lot yourself from your failures, but you can enter a cheat code in life by learning from other people as well, from what they've learned. Cosby. So Cosby, I've had the great pleasure of working with him for about 4 years, taking his class, creating content for the class, and different projects that he's been the advisor of. One story that he told me has really stuck with me. It's the one where he had a hard time at Harvard. So he had to take a break at one point and take a semester off. And so at one point during this break, half of you have probably heard this, he decided to try water skiing. All his friends were able to water ski for like 20 or 30 minutes and had a great time with it. He was only able to water ski for about 5 minutes at a time, and then he'd have to let go because of sheer pain in his arms. His friends told him, you're doing it wrong. You're trying so hard, but you're doing this. You just got to do this. And he did that, and all of a sudden it was easy. And that, all of a sudden, everything clicked in his head as far as how he has to handle Harvard. He was working really hard. He was working his ass off and staying up late at night, losing sleep, getting constantly behind further and further. He was working his ass off, but he wasn't working smart. He wasn't thinking about how do I do this more efficiently. He wasn't thinking about how do I handle these things. Sleep is kind of important. Maybe I'll do well if I get that, things like that. That has stuck with me. As a result of that, by the way, some other context on me. This is my 4th year here. In those 4 years, if I can, again, be honest with my successes, I'm proud of this. In those 4 years, I've gotten a master's. I've gotten an undergrad, and I have minors in physics and philosophy. I've survived a few semesters where I took 72 to 78 units. And during those semesters, I got 8 to 10 hours of sleep almost every night. I never ate a meal alone, and I still had a healthy social life. And the reason why I believe that I was able to do that was because I work smart. I don't work necessarily hard all the time, but I know how to work. For me, that means, honestly, sometimes I skip classes. I can't learn in classes. It's unusual. Most people can't. I have a very hard time learning in lectures, so I learn other ways. I make sure to work with people. Other people often get it a lot better than me, and I often get something that they don't get a lot better than them. And so when we work together, it's a lot more efficient for everyone involved. And I make sure that I'm passionate about everything I've studied. If I'm not passionate about it, I leave it. I got my master's is almost virtually in power systems. I'm not getting a job in power systems. I left it. I realized I'm sort of, it's not my flair. Next person I learned from is my dad. My dad, what I got out of him, he's a great guy. What I got out of him is to genuinely just care, is to have faith in people. He worked at L'Oreal, and the plant that he worked at L'Oreal was one of the worst in the country out of 50-some. They were going to close it soon, and there was one infamous job there, plant manager. You left after 6 months after having that job, one way or the other, whether it was on a stretcher from the stress or from being fired because you sucked at your job. My dad was called into the office one day, and his boss told him, PJ, you're getting the plant manager job. He said, no, sir, I'm very happy with my job. Please, I'd like to, he said, you don't understand. You're leaving here with that job, or you're leaving here without one. My dad went home to my mother that night saying, Eva, don't buy anything for the next 6 months. You don't absolutely have to because I'm going to lose my job in 6 months. The next day at work, he showed up, and his boss said, pick a team. He chose oddballs. He chose people that were hard to get along with, but who thought in weird ways, out there ways, strange ways, which was part of what made them hard to get along with. His boss told him, no, you need to take this more seriously, pick a better team. And my dad said, listen, if you're going to force me to this position, you're going to let me do it the way I want to. His boss said, fair enough. He was able to get those people to work together. And after 6 months of being there, the plant went from being one of the worst in the country to being one of the best. And people started to pay attention. He found efficiencies where other people were not able to find efficiencies to make the plant skyrocket. And it was because of those people who were able to think in different ways. He just had to work with them and believe in them and show them that he believed in them. And they moved so far. They had to fire them and hire other people who were trained in the robotics. My dad said, no. You know what makes a lot more sense? We're going to train the same people who are here on those robots. And people laughed and said, it doesn't work that way. Things are technical or difficult to understand. The people in this plant don't have that. And he said, no, but they can learn it. He said, just give me some time, give me some manuals. What ended up happening was because the people are smart. They understood the exact context. He said, if you guys are able to learn this, you won't lose your job. We'll be able to continue paying you. As a matter of fact, maybe even increase the salary. They ended up succeeding at it. They were competitive with each other on the manual. Oh, I'm on chapter 3 of the manual. Oh, I'm only on chapter 2. They literally every day they show up and try to push each other more and more. They ended up being able to operate the robots, and my dad saved tons of jobs. Families that got an income because of this decision, because he had faith in them. In high school, he started his first company. It was basically keeping a stock online of paintball equipment. This allowed him to afford $50 to $100 dinners, nice dinners with his girlfriend at the time, continue the sport of paintball that he played, and have still a little extra money on the side. Amazing thing. Now he's starting his next business, which is about getting other people, random photographers, to submit photos of storms from different countries. And this is a big deal to him. This is his passion, part of his hobby, and he loves it. And what I've learned from him is largely find what you do and just do it, and then do it, and then do it, and just do it, and do it. And that's sort of what I've picked up. I watch him do it all the time, and he doesn't even notice half the time that he's doing it, but he just keeps doing it. It's amazing. It's inspiring. And Rob's the last person I'm going to talk about. Rob's an interesting character. Rob, in my opinion, is insane. He's 26 years old. He graduated here from CS. This is one of the top schools for CS, right? That alone is awesome. Good for him. Since he's 26, he's worked at NASA, where he was like the only person on the team with software, where he built a large part of the product. They liked it so much that they called him back in to basically give advice on where the product to go and such, and to be able to discuss the future of that product, which is a big deal. I don't know how much I can talk about it or how much I know myself. He has submitted, published multiple times on hacks that he found. He was in Facebook's white hacker list, meaning he found a vulnerability in Facebook that anyone could utilize and submitted it to them. And he gave a talk in Germany where he was able to say that he was back and working with Google in order to fix this vulnerability that he found. And everyone else who was getting torn apart on stage, all of a sudden people were asking him serious questions. He was backed by Google. He also owns a company. He also started a company that he was inspired to on the music industry. And his goal in the future is to start a company in aerospace. I think he's freaking insane. He's 26 years old and he's done all of that. And he, from his perspective, he's just humble as hell. He doesn't even notice, I swear. Every time we have weekly meetings at, ironically, a place called Rock Pod, where we both talk about where we want to go in the next week, the struggles that we had, what we're going to overcome, where we're trying to get to. And every time, he's always just focused on the future, and he's focused on this end goal. He loves what he's doing now, he loves the company, but his future, where he's determined he's going to end up, is starting an aerospace company. For anyone who understands the startup or capital, that's a hard task. It's high capital. Like Elon Musk could do it, yeah, but he's a millionaire. So it's hard, but I'm determined he's going to get there. And when he gets there, he wants me to be there with him. And that's amazing. Like he respects me, he looks at me like that, and I look at him like that. So the point here is mainly two things: to be humble, no matter how far you go, just keep trying to get at your goal, but stay humble. And the second point is find friends who flow with you, find friends who encourage you and believe in you, and find friends that you can believe in them, because then that's just positive feedback both ways, and it keeps multiplying. It's an amazing feeling. So again, work smart, not hard. Have faith in others. They'll often live up to those expectations. Do, keep doing what you love, and stay humble, and keep aiming for whatever your dream is, and I'm sure you'll finally get close to it. Part 3, the last part, I'm going to close with something, a happy topic, anxiety and depression. This is a heavy topic, but it's a conversation that I think needs to be had, and this has been fresh in my memory, because this is the obstacles that I've tried to get over with my senior year, with my last year here. So my last semester was shit. My last semester sucked. In some ways it was great, I can be an optimist about this, but in a lot of ways it was just depressing. I had to deal with 4 big obstacles for myself. One was I have anxiety, it runs in my family. I had anxiety over maybe not getting a job, or maybe at least not getting the job that I wanted after working so hard here. And that almost tripled into depression. That almost rolled into just, what am I doing? At the same time, one of my close friends who I've had here for 4 years, I realized didn't really care about me. And I had to get over him. It felt like a dump. It felt like a breakup, and it really hurt me, except I've known him for 4 years, and I thought he was close. And I realized I had to move on. That was hard. At the same time, with the girlfriend I had at the time, I had ups and downs, and it was very tearing on me. It was a struggle to be able to an emotional roller coaster, which is taxing. And the last thing is that I've noticed in reflection that I've become cynical in general. I've become cynical with my education at Carnegie Mellon. I went home, and my friends would talk to me about this flame in my eyes I used to have in high school. Now I would just be like on a roll. I'd always want to do something. I'd be so excited about physics or whatever, engineering, whatever. I'd be talking about topics, philosophy, great conversation. And I realized in stark contrast to that, I was just cynical. I was just sort of like laughing, like, what am I doing here? I can't wait for the end. And I don't want that. You should never be in a place where you're just looking forward to the next part of life. And so I tried to find a way to get that spark back. When I was talking to my girlfriend about this part, she applied the engineering perspective to it and said, well, problem, method, solution, and lessons. So that's exactly what I did. The method that I believe I applied to this is what I'd like to call depth. Anyone who knows me probably hates this word because I talk about it too much. Right, Allie? The part about depth is basically facing exactly what's going on. I was sad. I wasn't going to say I'm not sad. I wasn't going to say I'm going to be happy because maybe I won't be. I wasn't going to say I am happy because I wasn't. I was going to face why I was sad and try to think up and try to articulate to myself why I was sad, what in my life is bad that I want to not be bad? What about me is, from my perspective, bad that I want to not be bad? And when I faced that, I realized certain things I could integrate into my life that would just naturally rock it up. I don't have full control over everything, right? There's that whole variable of other people and other things and other opportunities. That kind of, not too much control. But there are certain things that I can incorporate into my life that I know for sure when I call up my sisters or my dad and they ask me how I'm doing, just keynotes that I'd be able to point to as excuses for why I'm doing really well. One of those is going to the gym. You can tell I haven't been going to the gym forever, but I go to the gym pretty regularly now. I'm proud of this. Every other semester here, I've lost 5 pounds because of an eating problem with anxiety. This semester I put on 10 pounds, and I've been eating about 3.5 to 4 meals a day. So I'm proud of this one, and incorporating into my day. Every day that I've gone to the gym, I feel like it's a successful day. The next thing is to start eating healthy, but slow. The next solution was hanging around people who are just kick-ass company. Hanging around people who I genuinely enjoy and like almost lust hanging out with them. You know, I just strive for it. I want it so bad because I enjoy their company, I enjoy the conversation. I thrive off of them. They thrive off of me. It's just positive. Every which way it goes. It's not like, you know, we're giving fluffy compliments to each other. That's not it. It's the fact that we really do believe in each other and we appreciate and respect each other. And so the conversations and the nature of the company is always exciting and wild. I won't give you the context of that night. It's not, but that pretty much incorporates all of our personalities. And don't ask why, but we were in Cleveland, Ohio for a night. Yeah, good times. The other solution, the third solution that I wanted to add that I saw as a way to boost myself up and pick myself up, so I'm about to end, is projects. I realized projects make me feel successful, make me feel happy, make me feel fulfilled. These are some quick projects I've gone over. Smart Cup that I'm working on with Elena Feynman is basically to track how many drinks you've had, estimate your BAC, maybe tell a waiter when your drink is empty. Very basic functionality, but which is in demand. And I'm getting very excited about this sort of concept and working with Bria to productize it, talking with companies. This one is my mechatronics team, the Mighty Ducklings. I'm very proud of that icon that one of us drew on the wall. Every time that we go stacked, we get the, what's it called? The fishbowl, thank you. And it comes with a rubber ducky. So we collect rubber duckies and we're called the Mighty Rubber Duckies. Now we don't just drink, we also build a robot. So this robot is supposed to stick to the window and crawl on it as it cleans it. So very cool. This is kind of like the Weasley clock in Harry Potter. I'm sure all of you guys are fans. This guy basically tells when someone is close by, when someone is closer to your dorm or further, and changes color accordingly. That's a Build 18 project that I had a lot of fun with. And the last part is a snake program that I started working on over break in order to get into a better trust, in order to put myself in a better direction. This snake project uses things like evolutionary algorithms and Markov chains and a few other tricks in the bag to be able to get a snake to intelligently pursue the food, like in the snake game, without knowing where the food is. So I'm still working on that project as well, incorporating other tricks into it. A quick gist at my sort of quirky personality again is this is the original video of just a simulation that I wrote for my team. Took a lot of hours, took a lot of time, a little dry. The problem here is, so I did some work on it to add some features. The problem that I ended up with was after taking a video of it, I noticed it was anticlimactic, at least accordingly to how many hours I put into it, okay? So I decided to add some music that I thought would make it more appropriate, and I did that. Engineers. Ford's gonna have a great time with me. So the lesson out of this, to quickly recap over this, is don't stop yourself from feeling hurt. It's gonna happen. Where you become rich, where you become someone very interesting to talk to, is from developing that depth, that contrast. If you're happy-go-lucky all the time, it's almost like there's something about life that's not quite, you're not grounded. When you develop that depth, when you have a hard-ass time sometimes, you start to notice when you're happy why you should be so appreciative for it. Not to mention, you're able to have so much more richer conversations with a lot of people, and all of a sudden you sound like a lot more interesting of a person. Don't ignore your emotions either. Admit what they are. Understand your emotions in current situations. Find ways to cheer yourself up. Learn from the crap. It's crap. It's underlined and italicized because it's crap. You're not going to be able to avoid the crap. There's going to be crap. The key is to basically get out of it as much as you can. You can't necessarily control that it's not going to be in your life. You can't control what you get out of it and how you react to it. And try to be happy. I understand the situation is sometimes complex. That's a disclaimer. It's not always so simple. But try your best to be happy because you really do owe it to yourself. It's important. Being depressed or being happy, those are not mundane or insignificant details. Those are very important things. And overall lessons, what I'm hoping that you guys walk away with this from is from the projects, mainly servitude leadership, investing in the team, not only for the sake of having a much better time and having people generally be much more happy, but for the sake of product itself, it's a lot more healthy and a lot more beneficial to the end result. The people themselves, there's a cheat code there. Pay attention to the people that you're around because you'll get a lot out of them. If you're learning a lot in your life, imagine how much learning is going on with the sheer mass amount of brilliant people around you. You can really cheat and learn and gain in wisdom just by hacking onto that. And anxiety and depression. Experience and learn from your emotions, deal with them, digest them, don't ignore them, and try to develop that rich contrast and be able to figure out what sort of direction will get you into a better place that you want to be in. But thanks a lot. I hope that was